I talked to Dr. West a couple times on RBN, and I mean, I kind of thought about it. I was just like, would he run for president? And if he did run for president, through whom? Like, would he do independent, third party? If third party, which third party? There's a few. Would he run as a Democrat? I sure as hell know he wouldn't run for as a Republican. Even though he's had surprisingly good rapport with people like Tucker Carlson. I remember specifically I should have looked that up, but there was a video where Tucker Carlson had Dr. Cornel West on, and Dr. Cornel West was actually talking about socialism. And by the end of his explanation, Tucker Carlson said, by this explanation, I would be okay with becoming a socialist. That was from Tucker Carlson, the far right winger that everybody, on the left, does not like, which he has some extremely problematic views to me. Is like, wow, if that's what socialism is, I'm okay with that. What? So yeah. Let me just show it. Let's just show the campaign video. Hang on, let me make sure. Yeah. This is going to be interesting, y'all. I was shocked. Let's go.
In these bleak times, I have decided to run for truth and justice, which takes the form of running for president of the United States as a candidate for the People's Party. I enter into quest for truth. I enter into quest for justice. And the presidency is just one vehicle to pursue that truth and justice, what I've been trying to do all of my life. I come from a tradition where I care about you. I care about the quality of your life. I care about whether you have access to a job with a living wage, decent housing, women having control over their bodies, health care for all. De-escalating the destruction of the planet, the destruction of American democracy. Democracy creates disruption. It creates an eruption. It creates an interruption. Wide from below, the energies of everyday people is manifest. And I know there are precious people in your life who you care for. That's why it's important for you to be involved, important for you to participate. We're not talking about hating anybody. We're talking about loving. We're talking about affirming. We're talking about empowering those who have been pushed to the margins, because neither political party wants to tell the truth about Wall Street, about Ukraine, about the Pentagon, about big tech. Neo-fascists like Brother Trump or milquetoast neoliberals like Brother Biden. Wow, I'm so happy to make a world-shaking decision. You know what I mean? Well, I know gangsters when I see them. And gangsters not a subjective expression. It's an objective condition. Do we have what it takes? We shall see. But some of us are going to go down fighting, go down swinging with style and a smile, accenting the best in you and trying to tease out the best in me. Let's do it together.
I'm going to say this. Yesterday, bring. Hey, Sabby, what's going on? Hey, JB, isn't that crazy? I know. That's crazy, right? Yeah. What is everybody going to do? I don't know. There's some people that went behind Marianne. There's some people that went behind RFK Jr. What are they going to do now? Because a lot of them love Dr. Cornel West, but they already threw their support behind him. What a conundrum. That was the conversation between me and Savvy Savs yesterday. We were just like, we were laughing our behinds off. We were laughing because we were like, after what Marianne Williamson said about on RBN about Palestinians, about a two-state solution, after the cluster F of what RFK Jr. did regarding, Palestinian rights and what he said about, the aspirations of Palestinians. After all that, now you have somebody comes in the race who has a way more decent, at least, policy regarding the Israel-Palestine conflict. And now he jumps into the race. And now you got all these people that talk about how much they love him. And they already endorsed people who are running in the Democratic Party. And now you have somebody who is progressive. And he's running outside the duopoly. Oh my goodness. What are they to do? It is hilarious to me right now. And there's a couple of concerns that I have that I'm going to bring up. But the fact that Dr. I can't. Oh. This is crazy. Yo. Okay. So Dr. Cornel West is running for president. Now, he's running under the Movement for People's Party, the MPP. Now, here is my thing, my concern. The People's Party has been, have some problematic things that have happened in the past. They're a fairly young third party, but when it comes to the issues regarding anti-blackness within, with volunteers, which was talked about by some volunteers on independent media. It's been talked about on RBN. It's been brought up on Rising. As well as the allegations, the sexual assault allegations from the chair, Nick Brana. So because of those things and the fact that it has no ballot access, or I think it has only ballot access in 3 states, that is a concern when it comes to MPP, Movement for People's Party. And so because of that, that's what makes a lot of people pause before giving any support to Dr. Cornel West. As you all know, I don't support anybody. Even after his announcement, I still don't support anybody running for president right now. I'm not going to be lending my platform to support any particular person, because ultimately we save us. There's not going to be a savior. I'm not saying that voting won't be an option. I'm saying that's like the very least of what any of us can do. So it's like, yeah, let me go over to my local precinct, bubble a couple of letters, and then leave. Whatever. The most important thing is the organizing and mutual aid work that needs to be done. That is what is important. What the people, like, for instance, who are organizing against Cop City, that's most important. And other different issues like that. But what, like what do you guys think? Because there's these issues surrounding MPP, but at the same time, looking at different parties, like for instance, how many people would be disappointed if he ran in the Democratic Party? Quite a few people. They would be disappointed. How many people will be disappointed if he ran in the Green Party? Now, I do have respect for the Green Party. However, I am learning that they have some issues themselves, right? And so because of that, there are issues with the Green Party too. So it feels like no matter what party you go into, there is going to be an issue. I do respect that he's running outside of duopoly. I actually respect that. But the MPP is like, Dr. West, man, I don't know, man. I don't know. You know what I mean? But at the same time, Blake Watson, this is the point I was going to bring up. Blake says MPP is a young unknown party that someone with West stature could easily transform and evolve. Here's my thing. How many people outside of the Twitter left know what MPP is? Like, some people will know, but the Green Party, like, hell, I remember the Green Party back when Ralph Nader was running, right? I remember seeing them in passing, but I didn't know that much about them. But here's the thing. A lot of people know who Dr. Cornel West is. Hell, the first time I saw Dr. Cornel West was when I was watching The Matrix Reloaded. Remember, he was in there? He was one of the council members. He said, comprehension is not a requisite of cooperation. So that's him way back then. He was on, oh my God, that talk show talking to Sister Soldier. You know what I'm saying? He's known, like, Black people know who Dr. Cornel West is. He's also one of them people that actually was very critical of Barack Obama. We know who he is. And so the thing is that then a lot of people don't know about MPP. So all the critiques about MPP, a lot of people don't know about. So could this be a means to turn MPP around? To clean things up even within the organization? I don't know. But I also see a lot of people getting behind him because he's not part of the Democratic Party. And if you guys haven't watched, go ahead and watch Dr. Umar Johnson, and how he, despite his problematic views on many different things that I have, he did say something that was important about Black people in the Democratic Party. And because, Black people constantly go with the Democratic Party, but the Democratic Party really doesn't do anything for us. For someone like Dr. Cornel West, of his stature, especially within the Black community, is that an important point that he's running outside the Democratic Party? I think that's massive. Even some people who are part of the ADOS movement, African descendants of slaves, they seem to be more warming up to him. Even though Marianne Williamson has reparations on her platform. Dr. Cornel West pulls some weight. And so it feels to me that this is a shift that I did not see coming. I was like, wait a minute. I did not have this on my bingo card for this election season. And I remember saying this last week. In fact, I said this to Sabby last week. I said, this election season is going to be crazy. And now we're seeing shifts as we speak. And this is one of them. And so I don't know if MPPs, their image can be cleaned up, as tarnished as it is right now among the online left. But at the same time, I am happy he's running outside of duopoly. I just don't know if MPP was the right choice. But, you know, we're going to see how his candidacy goes, you know. And my question for him is, okay, do I think that he's going to win? Do I think he's going to win? No, I don't. But a lot of times there could be, and somebody as popular as him could push out a more salient conversation into the ether about, number one, Black people leaving the Democratic Party, because that's number one. Number two, this could be a salient conversation more about things like the rights of Palestinians, healthcare for all, you know, student debt and getting rid of college tuition, period. Environmental issues, living wage. This could push these things out into the ether, so to speak. And without having the pressures of a Democratic Party on you to stay in a certain lane, this is an opportunity for Dr. Cornel West to go scorched earth. I said this back in 2020. I said Bernie needed to go scorched earth in order to truly get himself the nomination. And he didn't do it. This is an opportunity because Dr. Cornel West is not running in the duopoly. He could go scorched earth and straight mollywop him. I don't think he will. Because he's a nice guy. I think Dr. Cornel West is a little too nice. We need a jerk. He's not a jerk. He's just not. He's a very nice person. Very likable. Very likable. Despite some disagreements I have with him on certain policies, and I have some agreements with him on other policies, he's a very likable person. But the problem is that, you know, I hope that this increases the conversation on socialism and communism. I hope this increases the conversation and makes more people consider turning away from the duopoly and really turning out into the streets. And when I say turning out into the streets, I don't mean just protests. I'm talking about actual organizing to create dual powers so that we can leave this capitalist system. Am I being naive? I don't know. Am I being overly optimistic? Maybe. But that's what it feels like. And so Dr. West running, it could be a sign, because remember when Ice Cube did the contract for Black America, and he went to Democrats and Republicans and was like, we shouldn't give neither of these parties any support until they actually do things for Black people, right? Then you got people like Dr. Umar Johnson saying the same thing, basically. And what have a lot of Black people been saying? Like, why are we in either one of these parties? They're not doing a damn thing for us. So why should we participate? And now you have a Black man that's well known within the Black community, that is progressive, that's actually running outside the duopoly. I honestly think that it's going to be significant. It's not going to be enough to win anything, because really the system is rigged. But just like with Bernie's run, and it woke a lot of us up, despite the huge disappointment that Bernie Sanders is and the failure that he is now, it did wake a lot of us up. We have to contend with that. We have to realize that. And now this could be a waking up for all of us who aren't woke, to use the word, in its proper context, to what is really going on regarding the corporate dictatorship that we have in this country. I see this as a net positive. You know what I mean? As far as the conversation. Does that make any sense? That's how I see it, as a net positive. But at the same time, I feel like the work has to be finished by us, meaning that we push it towards this conclusion where we say, see what he's saying? That things can be better? All right, let's go the route and how you can make things better yourself. Because he's not going to save you. They're not going to save you. Only we can do that. And so it's almost like planting a seed in everybody's mind at one big, massive moment. But then we take that football and we run it into the end zone. You know what I mean? And so it's almost like the little blurb in an article that kind of piques your interest, and then you read further. And we're the body of that article, right? He's the blurb. And while it's not really going to, I would hope that it could change things. I don't think it will with him as a president, because the system, they'll JFK him. Because the system does not allow people like him. Even though I'm further to the left than him, they still won't allow for people like him. Mm-mm. No. So he will never become president, even though he's not as further to the left that I would like. Because the system needs to be changed. And the only way the system will change is through the people. And this means organizing and building community with each other outside of the electoral system in order to make something better. So, while that being said, like I said, the conversation can open up better conversations with our neighbors, with our people in our community. Now, these are some of the things that he's bringing up. So this is on his website, his campaign website. I do like this quote, justice is what love looks like in public. I do like that quote. Now, here is the policies that I have looked at. I try to go deeper, but there aren't any links to expand on these policies yet. He just announced yesterday. So this website is very fresh. So create a true democracy. It says clean out government corruption and create a true democracy. Get money out of politics and ban corporate lobbying, enact term limits in Congress, and switch to hand counted paper ballots. So starts off good, you know, need to expand more on these things, of course. But this is something that needs to be brought up. And the thing is, everybody talks about this. Everybody talks about it, but they keep, a lot of people keep voting for the duopoly who don't want to do this. And then on top of it, the people who actually don't want these things and don't vote for the duopoly, they sit out. And, the thing is that the system needs to be changed. And in order to really do it, more revolutionary tactics need to be employed, like organizing and building, a dual power. For people to talk about, which is good. Revitalize our economy, says guarantee quality education, housing, and a living wage and paid leave to all, curb inflation, support unions, and expand Social Security, fix our infrastructure, and forgive all student debt. Now, this is also a really good thing. So this actually pushed this more out into the conversation. We are experiencing now some of the largest support for unions in decades. And so, that it could be a very good thing for us to, put that more in the ether of people having more say over their workplaces and more power. Now, I, for one, am more supportive of worker co-ops and workers owning the means of production. Remember, I'm a socialist. Unionization is in the right direction. So if this helps us get into the right direction as far as the national conversation, I'm all for it. So then when people go, oh, unions, I'll take it even further. Let's start having more worker co-ops, right? Just like people saying, oh, Medicare for all. Great. I'll take it even further. Let's nationalize our healthcare system completely. Take it further. Use this as a platform to take it further, because people will be talking about this, but when people like him speak out, use his message as a platform to, okay, look, I'm not just going to give you one rose. I'm going to give you a dozen roses. I'm not going to give you just a short stack of pancakes. I'm going to give you a tall stack. You know what I'm saying? He takes an inch, you give people a mile, right? So it's like you're using this as a conversation piece. You know what I mean? That's basically what I mean. Now, the next one is Medicare for all. It says guaranteed health care to all guaranteed healthcare to all like every other major country on earth. Ensure comprehensive care, including dental, vision, hearing, mental, substance abuse, and long-term. Lower drug prices and abolish medical debt. So this is also going to put the medical debt conversation, right? Because a lot of people were talking about student debt, but let's talk about medical debt too, right? So that's going to be in the conversation. And use this to say, look, this system wants to keep these things in place. Use this as a conversation piece. And the wars. Bring our troops home and invest those trillions in war dollars into American communities. Support veterans. Stop all foreign military aid. Close the bases. Close the bases. That's a really good one. Disband NATO. That's another big one. And ban nuclear weapons globally. So, look, this is a great conversation piece to say that how this terrible the system is. We have nearly 1,000 bases around the country, over 800 bases around the world. Why do we need all these bases? And why are we spending so much on military? We're spending almost $1 trillion on our military annually. It says expand civil liberties, guarantee equal rights to all Americans, restore free speech, protect choice, stop CBDCs, regulate AI, and break up big tech. So these are some of the things that a lot of people have talking about, especially like, for instance, they were trying to talk about the TikTok ban. And the thing is, like, that's also a free speech issue, right? So this is also stuff that you can bring into the conversation regarding why we need to come together as communities to really create a new system that does not depend on capitalism. And of course, like I said, we know that it's not going to happen through, the run for president, but this can be a conversation piece. Protect the environment, clean up pollution in our food, water, and air, tackle climate change, and shift to I can't talk today. Regenerative agriculture, remove oil and gas subsidies and drilling on public lands, and invest in clean energy, because these, especially these oil companies, these fossil fuel companies, own part of our government. And so, of course, and the banks own the other part. So you can use this to talk about how the corruption of the system. So, even though, he doesn't expand upon these 6 things are basically going to be the crux of his candidacy. And the thing is that use it as a conversation piece to push things even further. Because honestly, this is what is necessary for us, is to push the conversation further. Jessica Mister says, no, abolish the police. Unfortunately, this is why I say he's not as further left as I am. And, like, for instance, take out the militarization of police. This is why we have to push the conversation further. Right? That's what I mean. So Dr. Cornel West running is going to be an interesting thing. Yeah, I think that he, he means well. And, I think, in a democracy, anybody, who wants to run, runs. I just don't have faith in the system, because in my opinion, I mean, all those policies are very moderate. Very moderate. They're not policies that really suit me, because I'm further to the left than that. And I think that we can actually do better than that. But like I said, steps in the right direction. And some people will go, well, you're not going to have 100% everything that you want in a president. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. But he's still running in a system that's corrupt. This is why it's like, okay, voting for president is like being in a room. Voting for president in this system is like being in a room where somebody pooped on the floor. And for now, voting for president is like taking potpourri or, some aerosol spray and spraying the air just so that you can get the stink out of the room. But you have to get rid of the poop first in order to really alleviate the problem. Voting for president is just spraying the spray to get rid of the smell temporarily. It's not really going to solve the problem, right? Solving the problem really is actually getting the poop off the floor and cleaning the area and throwing the poop away so that the smell is gone permanently. The thing is that I say, get the poop off the floor, clean up the area, then spray some aerosol spray, But the main thing is cleaning up the area. That's the primary thing we need to do. And unfortunately, we have been conditioned to just spray, 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 but the shit is still there. And you can spray as many times you want, but it's going to wear off. And what's going to be left? Shit. So that's how I look at it. And so, that's why it's important for us to get the cleanup work first. Because once you start the cleanup work, then everything else will fall into place. Does that make sense? Does that analogy make sense? I know it's a little gruesome, but that's what I mean. And so this is why organizing your communities, performing, mutual aid. We're trying to start these. We're in the process of starting the chapters with RBN. And this is just an example for you to do if you're involved in any type of mutual aid organizations that help out your community so that the community does not need to go to the banks, does not need to go to these institutions which keep us down. If you can teach people some stuff without them having to participate in these college systems so that they can learn some stuff, great, cool, excellent, do it. Get people away from utilizing the system so that they can have something better for themselves. You know what I mean? Because this system is the problem. It's not a problem, it's the problem. So yeah,